See to it that you're comfortable. Allow this moment to be new. Just see what it is. You don't have to bring in anything with you. You're just witnessing this moment. Watching the whole of consciousness. The expressions of the body. The expressions that come through the senses. You don't have to touch any of that to be. If your attention goes into thinking, come back to noticing the whole. If there is any resistance, just let that go and invite your experience. Menacing thoughts are just a problem on a distance. Just allow this moment to be as it is. You don't have to wait for anything. Just see what is here. This quality of being is your life. You might think of your life as your circumstances, or what has happened to you, or what is going to happen to you. But this is your life, truly. And this awareness that you experience in this moment is not really an awareness that belongs to you. This awareness is your nature. It is the essence of your experience. And in this awareness, consciousness appears. All forms, colors, shapes and sounds. They're all an expression of you. Meditation is not about becoming. It is being. You watch everything. All the expressions of the body, breathing, the movement of prana, all the expressions in this moment. You might become tense because you concentrate. See if you can keep your focus and still be relaxed. See if it's possible to be attentive yet relaxed. You don't have to buy into any experience. You can just allow this spaciousness to be. You just keep staying here. And if there is any tension, you just relax into it. Notice how you can relax into just being aware. Into this natural sense of awareness. don't touch any thought. You can open your eyes, move your body. We assume ourselves to be someone who is searching, someone who is meditating, someone who's trying to grasp the idea of meditation. And it's almost comical that that is the obstacle in meditation. That is what we trip over time and time again. So on this search, where are you heading? What is your direction? Are you sure you're on the right path? And what scares you about it? It is strange that the things that make you feel like you have found something profound is still very subtle, still very difficult to define, very difficult to explain to someone. When someone asks you, what draws you to this subject? It's difficult. And why are you not into some other path? Why does it have to be this specific cultural expression? And it can even feel right, even in some ways that it doesn't suit you perfectly. Culturally, maybe it's not a good fit, but it's still there. And I think this part of spirituality is the irrational part, but it's also the intuitive part. And why does certain things feel like you have come home? Even if you still notice that there is restlessness and striving and all this, there is still a sense of home. And the strange paradox of that it can feel in a way that it has to do with outside things, but at the same time you're sure that is not it. Those outside things is just a reflection of you. What is it to be truly safe? Is it possible? What is security? Is it just a play of fragmentation? Is it just a play of ego? It has to be. Otherwise, who is secure? And for most people, it's not a rational thing. They just go for what makes them feel secure. The fear of not being secure is so strong. They can't even make a thought experiment to go outside that bubble. If they have a certain kind of thinking that makes them secure, if you in any way oppose that, it's like poking a hornet's nest. You know this, right? And for the sadhak, for the one who practices meditation, this is the whole thing. It is being with everything that you automatically otherwise would avoid. Allowing the present moment to be as it is embracing everything that is shameful, that is not nice, that is petty. and be with it. Because through your sadhana you start to see what it does to the mind. You can have all these situations that happened, all these thoughts about your behavior and your moral issues or whatever it might be. But the more of those things that are pushed away and created a distance to, the more tension there is. You notice time and time again that it always comes back. But for most people, you have to get really tired of it. It has to feel overwhelming. Pulling you apart, creating crisis. Then you come to the point where you're ready to look. The most dangerous state in sadhana is to be completely comfortable. Because then you don't want to change anything. And you can create a life where you protect yourself from everything. And it will be upheld, can be upheld for a long time. But if you start to notice that being with your experience as it is seem to have benefits, seem to create a spacious mind, then it's easy. We create so many false patterns, gratifying patterns that are not true. The most common one is creating expectations, living up to those expectations, feel free for a while, create new expectations. And it just confirms itself. And from the standpoint of the ego, that works. Others do it. They put up a goal, they reach the goal and feel satisfied for a little while, and then creates a new goal. And the crazy thing about it is that you don't need to do that. That is not where your satisfaction comes from. It comes from the space of being. But the egoic mind cannot grasp that because it doesn't really seem like a thing. It will say, how am I doing that? Okay, sounds great. How am I doing that? But that's exactly it. It is not a doing. It's not the mind achieving something. It's just being. And you can try through the mind and find out. But it's like using the wrong instrument. It's like gardening with a screwdriver. It is not what it's good at. Beingness is not a thing. As also you could say that peace is not a thing. We talk a lot about in society to create peace. I want to create a peaceful home. I want peace in the world. All these things, right? But peace is not a thing. It is what's there when there is no fragmentation, no division, no us or them. Then there is peace, right? So in that sense, you don't have to uphold peace. That's also something people say. Let's uphold the peace. Peace is the absence, because peace is natural. It's not a thing. But people are meddlesome. They want to fix. They want to do. They want to create peace. And it seemed to be very normal to think that you can create peace outside of yourself without feeling peace inside. It's a very strange idea, I think. What kind of peace is that? And the strange thing with the peace inside, that it doesn't need anything. You cannot create peace inside. You can only stop meddling. That's it. Stop meddling in thoughts. That's it. These are really easy meditation instructions. Nothing difficult today. So why does the mind continue meddling when it knows not to? You heard this many times now. This cannot be the first time, right? Because there is so much investment in beliefs, in the idea of upholding your life, what it entails, what you have to do, and the fear of what is going to happen if you don't. Right? And again, we're playing the game of the egoic mind, which is just black or white. If you notice this kind of outcomes, the idea that you either succeed or it's disaster, the egoic mind loves this. There's no gray. There's never any gray, almost. Maybe one third alternative, sometimes. Because then it makes it very, it's so rigid, it's so pre-made that it feels like there are no choices almost. It's either this or disaster. It's either this or... And it doesn't allow life to be at all. And life has unlimited potential of expressions. But if the mind is set on two, it will always only see those, and it will interpret the ones that happen to fall into those categories. Oh, this says that I'm failing, or this says that I'm successful. Whatever comes. And we narrow. And since that is not in accordance to what is happening, it creates friction. You can call it stress, you can call it whatever you want. Stress is just not to allow the present moment as it is. To want it to be something else. An idea of a parallel world where you would have succeeded with something you failed at, or the situation around it is different. When you look at it like that, it's complete nonsense. It's just resistance. And I'm not saying these things to judge yourself or blame yourself for having those kind of thoughts. We just look at it very frankly. We just see what it is. And if you go very deeply into acceptance of the present, you feel a bit crazy. Because it goes against all these things that you have built up, all the ideas of the person, all the fears that has that could collapse. So it feels a bit crazy to just be with the moment. You can become fearful, all these things. But it's not dangerous, because it's just thinking. You can make your thoughts have a lot of inherent meaning if you really identify with them, and they can also be nonsense. The thought, I don't want to live anymore, can be disastrous to one person who identifies with that thought. And to another person it can just, the only thing it does is opens the question, who doesn't want to? Do you understand? Belief in the content of the mind creates your world. Because you say, I am the one who believes this. Thoughts are just things that come and go, and you put value into them. You have thoughts sometimes that are complete nonsense, right? There come some thoughts about pink elephants, and you're like, okay, but it means nothing to you. And so could other thoughts that you say have a large impact. could be the same. They don't tell a grand truth about your reality. Even if a thought says, I'm really depressed, I'm really exhausted, whatever it is, okay. There's an experience of tiredness, okay. But the egoic mind, when it grabs hold of it, it loves the drama of it. Oh, it loves to play with it, like to tell your friends and to discuss it, to make all these things. And to a certain extent, that is good. If you have things bottled up your whole life, it's so good to express them. I'm not saying that. But how we experience our inner world is through our belief. Identification and belief. And many of these beliefs we just carry. We have ideas with us, so when we encounter things, we put them very quickly into that. It's just an emotional reaction because it's an inherent belief. I think sometimes when we talk about meditation, everyone thinks that thoughts will come like a thing. You will see them, oh, I'm aware of it, and you will allow it to subside. When we talk about the experience, we can have that sense, but most of it is through belief. So it's like a colored filter in front of our eyes all the time, and we believe that, oh, this is happening because of that. Now this is happening to me again. All these things. Because you're looking for it. And if you observe people, you notice that they see different things in the same situation. Or most of the time that they're completely taken by their inner world, so they don't see anything. And people think that other people notice them on the street, that my hair is not looking so good today. No one cares. They're always into their thing. They're thinking about their hair. Beingness creates the quality of your life. That is quality. The acceptance of the present moment is the quality of your life. And I understand in certain situations it's super easy. You're with people you love and everyone is happy. Easy. Easy to enjoy the present exactly as it is. But when there is chaos, when there is too many thoughts, when people around you are in the bad mood, projecting things on you, then still Be with what is. Notice everything. The uncomfortable emotions in the body. All the expressions that happen. The reaction. The stickiness of anger, irritation, frustration, restlessness. Because if there's always avoidance, then it just gets stronger. It just propels it, gives it more fuel. You are none of those things. They are things that happen. They come, stay for a while, and go. And watch the transient nature of everything, because the mind is quick to say, you're going to be stuck in this state. It loves that. Oh, it's going to be like this now. It will say about some emotion. But the more you notice that everything is movement, and the more there is acceptance, then everything is allowed to move. Then this stickiness is not so much. If we don't continue, if we don't meddle, there is always peace. It's unavoidable. And you might say, but where is it? I cannot find it. It seems far away. Then the question is, who is searching? What is the real obstacle in meditation? The obstacle is not the search. The obstacle is the seeker. Any questions today? Yes.
When I came here, I had a nut to crack, like a problem solving. Not the apartment. Before I told I live in a place and I don't like it. Now I don't care about it so much. Like, whatever. I'm fine. In the same apartment. Now it's something else, and I don't know if I should try to crack it or just toss it somewhere and forget about it. Because I know it comes back tomorrow, maybe.
It's very common that you project your problems to the external. So you will see if you feel restless inside, you don't feel at peace, then you might say, there's something wrong with my apartment. And that might subside, and then you look for something else. Because the mind likes to have something to meddle with. It likes to have something to do. And I don't know if you have noticed in situations, if the mind has that tendency and you just allow it, that it starts to twitch a little bit, it gets really, really restless because you're suddenly aware that it's just going from one problem to the next. Just notice because usually when there comes to problems, there's usually a quite clear cut when the problem is done. If you're done with it, okay, fine. And then the mind starts to search. And this is a projection of that restlessness in you, looking for something that is wrong that you can fix. Yes. And this is just the egoic mind. It will do that endlessly. It will never come to a finished conclusion of that. That is because it is in the mind's nature, the egoic mind's nature, to continue. To just have an ongoing stories. But where you're heading, what you're doing, what your situation is, and how you're going to solve it. And it just plays. Over and over and over. And if you're observant, you start to notice this. Oh, this restlessness just goes to. Because the egoic mind cannot find peace. I just want to be very clear with this. The egoic mind can come to a plateau where it feels comfortable enough, but it's never really peaceful. So it always has this striving. It's always looking for something that is wrong, that it can fix, because it doesn't feel whole. But the problem is not the problems that come up in your life. The problem is that the egoic mind is fragmented, that it has created an imaginary separate entity that you call I, that is moving around in the world. And this I, things happen to, right? You think that things is happening to your life. But actually the whole thing is just unfolding and happening. And it's not personal. It's not a situation that is personal to you. It is just happening. And the mind is looking for this. Oh, there's a problem with the apartment. There's a problem with this. There's a problem with this relationship with this person. There's a problem somewhere. But before, there wasn't this problem. It came from the mind looking for something to solve. And of course, they can be real things that are needed to solve. But usually the mind just looks for things and makes things very narrow. And if there is just space, then things can also happen, and relationships in that happen, and if something needs to be solved, it will be solved in the moment. But this whole idea of a problem in time is the play of the egoic mind, is the fragmentation of the egoic mind just going on.
It's like you said about black and white. It's when this problem-solving thing, the egoic mind comes up, it's like the whole world narrows like this.
Yes.
But I mean, I don't know what happens tomorrow. Maybe someone emails me and say, I need you to do something very cool in Canada.
Yes.
But in my mind it's very black and white.
Yes. Either this will happen or this will happen.
Yeah.
But you don't know. And also if you notice what the mind says about the future, it can worry for weeks about an encounter with a person or a situation, and then just the situation never comes to fruition. It never happens anything with it. And then you forget about it, and then again you start to worry about something else. And you don't see that the egoic mind, it just wastes so much, it just takes so much attention. And just it grabs your attention time and time again for no reason. And the more you see of this nonsense, then you also start to be like, why am I going with the mind on this? Why am I going on this worry path again? Because the best way to encounter any situation is to not be fearful about the outcome. If you just feel calm and at peace and notice the situation, you will respond in a great way. But if you're fearful and you have built 10 of the worst scenarios that can happen, it's so likely that those are going to manifest. But this is not something that has to do with your external situation. This is an eternal, internal thing. It comes from you.
Why is it that those things you start to fear often, manifest?
Yes, that they happen.
Why?
Because
I mean,
actually,
it.
that it works like that is actually beautiful. Because the universe shows you how you're stuck. What you are hung up on, what you think is so important that you're fearful about it. It will show you until it's dissolved. And I'm sure you noticed, if you have a great fear of something, of being alone, of being rejected, of being this or that, it's so likely that will manifest in your life. And if you're not afraid of that, then it won't. Because you won't even see it as a thing. For one person, they suffer their loneliness because they're so afraid of it. For the other person, being alone is being at peace. So it's also, when it comes to fear, what shows that fear are not universal is that everyone has different fears, and it affects them differently. Even the same kind of fear can affect them very, very differently, just because of the psychological makeup. But fears they are shown to us, but just to be expressed. And they can only scare you on a distance. Do you understand what I mean by that? Because if you resist your fears, they get strong. When you're afraid of feeling something and you push that away, then you make it more important. This is how the content of our mind, emotional content or thoughts, get stronger through distance. If you completely allow them in this moment, accept them fully, invite them in, really feel them, you will notice that they are nothing. Maybe they will be expressed by the release of some tears because tension is leaving your body. But then it will be done, and maybe it comes again, and you again invite it in, allow it. And you reverse the whole thing, because our psychological tension, it can only build if you resist things. And we can have very clever stories about these things, why we're resisting them, why we cannot allow them, and all this. And we have a very nice story in our head, why we have to deal with it in this and this way, and we have a strategy, and we have all these things. And suddenly your mind is filled with thoughts about just to uphold your life. And this is most people's life. How am I going to react in this situation? Oh no, now this is happening again. How can I deal with that? How can I prepare myself in a good way for this? Da, 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 all this. And the mind just, and people have a monkey mind that just goes all the time. And they try to get away from certain thoughts. So then the mind have the habits of going to something that it likes to think about. And you have all this super complex pattern, and the mind starts to feel really, really heavy, and it's so full. So this with inviting the experience, and that's why I always talk about that in the beginning when we do the guided meditation. It's just to because that creates space. And I think that all of you that come and listen to me notice that the mind gets spacious in some way. I don't think that you would come back if you'd never experienced that. So, and it's just that it has to go beyond being a thing on your meditation pillow, and that it just becomes normal in your life to just be aware. And maybe some strong feeling comes over you and you're waiting for the bus, and instead of looking at your phone or doing something, you're just staying with this emotion as it is. You're just inviting it in, allowing it. And there are many situations where you can do those things without any, it's not a problem. You can walk around in your supermarket doing that. Because the mind has its habits. And if you have resisted a lot of thoughts and you have a lot of fear, it has the tendency to go into those. And don't be sad if you notice that it does go into these old patterns. You're just being aware of them instead. And you're reversing that tendency. And the more you can stay as you are, accepting the present moment as it is, you can invite all of experiences into that. And if you're too tense for that, then you need to express somehow. Maybe you have to go to martial arts club or boxing or some place where you can really, or many people like just to exhaust themselves physically if they feel really emotional also. All these things.
I'm experiencing this. Sometimes it comes, and sometimes some days it's not there. But it's I was running out of money. Not really, but I thought. So I cancelled my ceramic studio place, and suddenly I have money again because I got a job, like a single project. But I'm afraid of running out of the money in the future. So now I'm like, and I really want to express myself with ceramics. But I think I know how to do.
Yes.
We'll just let it calm down a bit and rest.
Yes, and many things don't need to be solved like that. This is very much how the mind is like, this has to happen, this has to happen. But there is also, when there is an openness to things, the possibility of those expressions are very likely to come into fruition. You talk to someone and they say, oh, but I'm not using my spot all the time. You can just come here a little bit. There's always ways that the universe can express, and it will provide what you need. But there has to, when there is tension, it takes a long time. Then the universe is very slow, because you are very much you have so much expectations of how this is going to be solved. And this is a very common idea that people inherit, because then it feels like they're in control. Yes, I know how to solve this thing. I have experience of these things. From you will say all these stupid things, and that will limit the possibility of it happening. Thank you. Yes.
I feel kind of a progress, that I'm doing better.
In life or in your sadhana?
In my sadhana. Yes. And I know the answer, but I think you need to tell it anyway. Who's doing better, right?
Yes. But okay, let's talk about this, so the self-inquiry doesn't become a game. Because when you say that it's going better, there is a possibility to also notice the progress of things. Because if the mind gets more quiet, if it's more spacious, I would say that is progress. But the problem is the egoic mind saying, I'm doing great. Because that is the same game that makes you feel in another day, I'm not doing so great. But there is the objective progression of that the mind is just getting more silent. But the problem always comes from who is looking at this. And what is it? Is it a personal progress? Did I do it? Is it, I'm doing great now? And the more you practice meditation, this part of it will be the most challenging, because the ego will be more and more crystallized in that. At some point it will start saying things like, I'm a great meditator. I really got this thing locked down. Every time I sit, bliss, bliss, bliss. And it's like the whole experience also shows you that that is true. So it's so easy to buy into that. And this is one of the biggest obstacles, most difficult obstacles when you practice a while, is that you feel like a great meditator. But as everything that has to do with the egoic mind, it has two sides. And it is the obstacle in the beginning for the beginning meditator, and it is the same obstacle for the one who has practiced for many years. It's just that this crystallized ego can take it can take much more. It's not nice when it's cut down, when it crumbles, but it can take it. I think Adyashanti said it in a beautiful way. He said, your head has to grow big enough so I can chop it off. And that just means that you have to go usually through that phase of feeling that your practice is going great. Because in that, even if there is a teacher that cuts you down, or it will also naturally happen. Because the question will be, who is? And for the big head, that is a big question. Do you understand? And it can really start to take. You can take the question seriously. What is this? What is this I that is referred to? And in this peace, where is it located? Can it do great or worse? Can it be more or less? What is it compared to others? Does that hold any value? Is it measurable? Is it a thing? What is this I? The location, the distance, the size, the absurdity of calling it better or worse. Of calling it other. Is it you and the stillness? Is it you and awareness? Are they two in there? And in a moment of peace, it's clear. And does it go away in the moment when you feel small, separate? Then look again. Is it there? When you're tired, look, is it the same? It cannot stay. No state can stay. It will always move. All phenomena will always change. And you will always be the changeless. And also, there is no difference between you and the phenomena. The beauty of all these paradoxes. The sadhana happens organically. We just have to listen. Give up all our ideas of what the practice is. This is the best way. Then it can just come. And if you get stuck, you can just stay with it and see what comes. There is just an experience of stuckness. And sometimes an expression of something is needed. Perhaps it will come to you that you will say, I don't know what to do. Please show me. And many times, even when I was with my teacher, he didn't give the answers from his mouth. It just happened. And openness is all that is needed. The great thing about sadhana, if you need something in it, it will after a while be so obvious, because you will get so frustrated. If your strategies or your approach does not work, it should frustrate you completely. It sounds so harsh, but it's a great thing, because it will poke you until you understand what is needed. And if you have resistance, and you heard this story from me many times when I realized that I just needed faith. I needed to trust. And if you have strong beliefs that everything is up to you, you will really confront that. There's no way of avoiding it. It will come to you until you say, okay, I get it. And progression is never a thing that you add. It's also a good thing to remember. Because we're thinking about, I should add this practice, I should do this. But the progression that happens in meditation is just that you lose things. That the mind becomes more spacious. That's it. And sometimes it feels like you have to do doing for that to happen. I'm sorry for the paradoxes, but that's how the cookie crumbles, or what they say. And in that sense, sadhana is beautiful. It's actually not different from you. First, it feels like something that you're doing, and after a while, it's just your life. In the beginning, it feels like you're trying to be aware as much as you can. But you are awareness. How can you be something else? And you will say things like, oh, I'm putting so much energy in trying to be aware. You get tired, you get headaches from concentrating so much. And all of those things can be needed. You need your concentration to break free of old habits, strong habits. Then you will believe for a while that concentration is the thing. Concentration is great. It has these benefits and But concentration leads naturally to meditation. And meditation is just being.
Do you mean concentration in general, like sitting and drawing with a pencil in hours, like?
Everyone who has, in this particular instance, I mean concentration as trying to stay aware. But concentration in general, and people who do things that require concentration, has an easier time in meditation. That I've seen so many times. So yes, it is helpful. Because the scattered mind that flees from everything that just jumps from one thing to the other is the most difficult mind to in any way perceive just being here. Because if that is all your mind is, and it never knows these moments of longer concentration, then it's not impossible, but it's just difficult. And it's also very common that people who practice meditation enjoy things that requires concentration. They just enjoy things that they can stay with their awareness there like that. And you get less interested in just distracting your mind as much as possible with really short intervals, which many people do. So yes, all kinds of concentration help, but what I'm referring to is especially the concentration of like staying aware of your breath, coming back to being aware of your thoughts, this kind of concentration. Neutral object concentration, one-pointedness of the mind. There are many names. Any more questions today? Yes.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm sitting less in meditation, and it's like I want to dance my meditation now, and maybe I always wanted that. I don't know. That's what came to me now. Maybe like just sitting isn't.
No,
isn't the best thing.
No,
I would just want to be in the body. See what happens. Give myself to the moment somehow more actively.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is a. Oh, I don't remember. There is a famous sadhu in India that was enlightened, and all he didn't talk at all. All he did was dancing with people. So you could go and dance with him, and he was just silent, and you would just dance with this master. Dance is very, very deep in us. It's a very, very simple expression in a way, and also very, very complicated, because it can be so much. You can dance so softly, and you can dance completely crazy. And it's a great way of just expressing with the body. And also in dancing, if you're just dancing by yourself to music or with other that just respect your space, you can be very much just aware of the movements of the body and just see what happens. That is the best dance. To be God's puppet. And there is nothing that says that you have to sit in meditation on a meditation pillow. If you dance for half an hour a day, and you're just completely aware and with the dance, it's just your beingness. Go. And also the possibility of everything that needs to be expressed in dance. You can dance with anger, and you can dance with sadness, and you can dance with all these things. So I think dancing is beautiful, a beautiful expression. And in actuality, the sitting in meditation can sometimes be it can be so big for people that it's such a, this is the real meditation. And that is also a compartmentalizing of it. What is not real meditation about dancing, or waiting for the bus, or doing the dishes? All are valid. And if there is expressions that come to you naturally, do it. It's not more complicated than that.
Yeah, it's so funny. I thought that sitting meditation was like the real meditation, and then there are other practices.
Yes. But life is just life.
That was just an idea.
Yes.
Very stuck here.
And it is much when there is freedom of it, because it's so easy to try to be a good meditator and to do the right thing. And these things actually are not very helpful in meditation, because you can be very, very, your mind gets very stiff in that. This is the real thing. This is not. Now I'm doing something that is a bit. Can have all these judgment just can play out in that. And for many people, it's so important to express. And all these creative outlets that we have, if it's ceramics or if it's dancing or whatever you do, are so good with that. And there's probably a reason that this specific thing is speaking to you, because that expression is needed. And the mind can always make things of it. It can be very deterministic. Yeah, now this is the thing I'm doing instead of this. And you never have to close any doors. Remember that. Everything can just be open. And you can flow between different practices if that is needed. And if you dance a lot for 6 months, then it comes, oh, I really just want to sit now. I'm so longing just to sit in silence, or whatever comes. And just not to make too many ideas of it. And the more that space can be there, that the sadhana can just be whatever is needed, then it will also be like that. Oh, I just want devotional singing now. It's just that. And not fight too much. You're free. You don't have to be a good meditator. Just listen, see what is needed. And in that acceptance and in that love, it will be expressed. And I could answer another person who would seem very undisciplined. I would say the complete opposite. You have to be more But that is the dynamics of sadhana. Depending on your person, you need different things. If you're the one that is if you're very much in the box, you need to break free a little bit. Move the body. Scream a little bit. Do the practices that seem dark or wrong or whatever. Just try, experience. Don't be afraid. And if you're too crazy, you have to be more disciplined. Because then you're naturally just trying everything. Okay. Yes.
You said before that the egoic mind can make up problems, for example, in relationships, but it can also be like real problems. But how do I know if it's real or if it's just the ego?
Okay. There's not really any real problems. They're just problems that happens in the moment, and they can be solved in the moment. You misunderstand your partner in the moment. And then it's a bit awkward for a while, and then you talk about it and you solve it. But all these ideas that you go with and you project, I wonder, I feel like this and this is going on. And there can be so much of like, I just feel a bit discontent, and it's just projected outwards. But and it's a good thing to remember that there are not really problems. There are only problems in time. And that means that the egoic mind is complete at play. Even if you doubt things in your relationship, you have these thoughts about your partner, and it's very good to look at, okay, am I just creating another story now because something needs to happen? And to be really frank with those things. And when I confront my partner, and my partner seems completely oblivious to it or not at all connected to it. So there might not, and it also dissolves. So like really be critical of the whole idea of problems. Because most people feel like they're living a life of just a lot of situations are happening and problems are on the horizon all the time. And that just makes the mind really, really tense and always lives in fear of that, of those expectations. And understand that that has nothing to do with your relationship or your partner. It can just be projections of it. And the things that happen are the things that happen, not what you think about the things that happen. Do you understand the difference there? Yes. And it's so common to think that your situation is what you think of it. But it's like that is a way that the egoic mind goes completely unchecked. And it never gets any backlash of anything it puts out there. It just says, you shouldn't have done that. And then you feel guilt, and it just really plays you. It says, you should do this. And then when you do that, it says, you shouldn't have done that. And it just plays you. And still we continue to just listen to this insane voice inside that makes all these preposterous things. See what actually happens. observe. Observe the mind and also other people. See how they go into their loops with their problems. And if you have people close by, it's very easy to observe them. You can just notice. And the great thing about observing other people is that you sometimes just can realize, oh, that is behavior that I have. And you see the loop of it, you see, oh, the projection of it, and you see the conclusions that are drawn. It's exactly the same things that I'm doing. So you can learn so much from just observing others. It's also great. Did I answer your question?
I was going to ask what to do if you have a very strong fear body, like the ego. I think is what you talked about, what's actually happening and what's happening in the future. Because it feels like my ego goes unchecked. It goes around and look under the rug and say, oh, do you think comet is going to hit Earth tomorrow? Okay, maybe not, but do you think...
Yes, looking for something, a problem.
Oh, you're not afraid of that? Okay, maybe you will get shot in the street tomorrow. And then it pokes until
it finds something.
And then I'm like, oh, you got me. And I'm like stuck.
Yes.
And I don't know how to disarm this. How to say like, okay, goodbye, see you next year.
You ask the question to who is the one that is affected by this fear. Because that one that you refer to as I is also an idea in your head. And that is needed for there to be two. For there to be a situation that happens, the situation that the egoic mind presents, and the believer of that situation.
So there are three, I would say. You have to
No. In actuality, there is no one. But this is what is needed from the mind to make it into what you call your reality, and that it affects you. These are the components that are needed. You need to believe in that thought. So either you don't believe in the thought when it's presented, or you don't believe who is it presented to. It's either the object or the subject. Because with just one of them, then if there's just thought without a receiver, there's just thought happening. If there's just the sense of I without anything attached to, that's just another thought. But when they collide, when you have an imaginary situation that happens to the imaginary self, then you feel anxiety, then you feel worry. That is the game that the mind is playing. And I understand that even though you hear this from me, it won't be dispelled like that for most people. It will still have its course because there is still belief in the idea of I. And there's still belief also, you have a belief that these kind of worrying thoughts make you prepared for it, or because the egoic mind might say you're irresponsible if you don't think about this, you're not really prepared. These kind of things, it can hook you. But it doesn't prepare you for it. It actually makes the opposite.
when you said that sometimes you see it in other people, and you realize, oh, that's me, or that behavior.
Mm. But there has to be it in that. If that kind of observation should do something and not just be an intellectual game, you also have to have the awareness of the idea of yourself in it. Because otherwise you will just observe and you will just compare and, oh, but I'm treating it a little bit better than this person, or da da da. You can have all these, and it's just another mind game. But if you stay as the silence and you observe, you can notice those tendencies and you can just see it as a mirror, and you just realize what it does in you. You understand that there is no difference in this experience that you're observing and your own experience. They are the same. Okay. More questions? No? He Govinda, he Gopala, he Govinda, he Gopala, he Vasudeva, He Nityananda, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, He He Govinda, He Gopala, He He Govinda, He Gopala, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, He He Govinda, He Gopala, He Govinda, He Gopala, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, He He Govinda, He He Gopala, He He Govinda, He He Gopala, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, He He Govinda, He He Gopala, He He Govinda, He He Gopala. Thank you. And yes, we will have a break for 2 weeks. So the next meditation will be on the 8th of January. So everyone knows. Very good. So enjoy your holidays.